Hey everybody, welcome back. So today is going to be the third and final installment of Lolita Hell, the Good, the Bad, and the ITA. So as of filming today, we are only a few days away from Halloween, less than a week, and I'm really hoping that I get it edited and published before Halloween. So we still have a lot of slides to go, despite this being part 3 of this series, to present to you our presentation that we had originally made for Saboten Con. I'm going to give you a quick warning for this next topic. Some viewers may find this disturbing. What am I talking about? Of course I am talking about the dismembered body parts of the Kumyas on Xianyu. So nobody really knows why these are the way that they are. We don't know if they've been sacrificed for body parts to make some sort of Kumya. We don't know if these are leftover body parts from the manufacturer. All we know is that we got a crime scene and somebody's making money off of dismembered body parts of Usukumyas and Kumyas. And of course we can only follow up that slide with the story of the literal bloodbath at AP Shanghai. The original reporting of this incident is actually courtesy of Angelic Pretty on Instagram. But in summary, October 2019, AP Shanghai's 3rd anniversary with 3 exclusive limited items, including Lyrical Bunny. This was an extremely limited release and you only got a lottery number if you arrived at the store by 10:30 a.m. There of course was a huge crowd consisting of AP fans, shopping services, and scalpers. Shoving began and eventually the glass window of the shop shattered, resulting in many people having minor injuries. While everyone was okay, there were reports of some people even having to go to the hospital for treatment. Due to safety concerns, AP Shanghai was forced to cancel the event. A lot of fingers have been pointed as to who is to blame. In Japan, AP has attempted to battle scalpers by requiring that all buyers must be wearing cords. This practice is also enforced in China. Typically, scalpers are easily identified by their severely underwhelming attempts to dress for the occasion. I've even seen men with dresses still on hangers and then putting the hangers over their head with the dress just dangling on top of them in a desperate attempt to meet the criteria. Obviously, with the prevalence of these scalpers, the rules have become more strict since they were first implemented. Hence this photo of this man literally dropping trousers in line in an attempt to comply with the rules to get a hold of these rare items. Lovely horse Derpy Chan. I feel like the older Lolitas again will know this one. I think anybody who's joined the fashion in recent years would know about Derpy Chan. And he's so cute, we just can't not talk about him. Posted to DeviantArt in March 2011 by user Amino in a picture featuring magical etoile quadruplets? What's the word for 4? It's one more than triplets. This dress is so cute, makes me want to sing this picture. In true CGL fashion, Anons lost their shit in a good way for lovely horse Derpy Chan, and he instantly became a meme within the community. The user Gabby Hime on Spoonflower made a bunch of Derpy Chan fabrics. The last time that I checked on them, about half of them were missing. However, there are still a few of them available to order, which I had this back in the day. And talking about it right now, it kind of makes me feel like maybe I should go back and buy another couple of yards of this fabric again. The original creator was shocked but delighted by this nameless random pony becoming a celebrity of his own, even purchasing some fabric and making herself a skirt. There's a bunch of other things that other people made. I know that somebody made a kigu, some people made pins, jewelry, and bags with his likeness on it. So this is definitely one of the times that good, pure wholesomeness came out of CGL, and why I say it's not inherently bad. Most embarrassing behavior. Wait, I should do it right. Most embarrassing behavior. Started as a video by Misako Aoki on the Kawaii Petite YouTube channel, with situations that were silly, but also things that are just generally considered polite, acceptable behavior in Japan. There were several videos in the series which became more exaggerated and hilarious, cementing the term as a Lolita meme. Many people still use these as a reaction image, but have also gone to make their own products featuring this phrase. Specifically, shout out to Milk Ribbon because I have this brooch and it is so cute and I do not wear it as often as I should. Again, this came out several years ago, and I feel like the origins may not be as well known by newer Lolita, but I highly recommend that you go onto Kawaii Petite and watch them for yourself. There's a couple of them and they're quite funny, highly recommend. This next slide is the story of the biscuit brooch. Biscuit, cookie, and pastry motifs, whether it's on a dress, a bag, or accessories is nothing new. The biscuit brooch of 2014 is definitely something that we haven't seen before or since, and if you don't know, I am about to tell you why. Posted on Tumblr June 17th, 2014. So, late last year, I bought one of these cuties from Deary because I had a 20% discount code. I needed more low-label accessories in my life since I'd bought my first sweet print that was covered in desserts. Multi-donut, whatever the fuck. So a few months had passed after the last time I had worn it. I set it on my bureau, and there it sat for a few weeks. Maybe it was the change in temperature or humidity or whatever, but it cracked. I was peeved, but I paid about $10 for it, and I figured I could glue it, and as I went to do so, I found crumbs. Flaky, doughy bits that were very unlike paper clay or any other deco medium I was familiar with. It'd gotten soft the way that graham crackers do when they go stale. I set it on my desk and went about my day, but it's left a prickly feeling at the back of my neck. I was laying in bed, half asleep until a few minutes ago, but my anxieties have finally pushed me. I could either try to glue it together and fix it, or force the crack more and reveal its secrets. For one thing, for all my searching, I can't find a mold for a Marie biscuit, but I can find the biscuits themselves for as low as $2.99. Well, this is just a tiny bit disturbing and particularly hilarious. Well, CGL did what CGL does and made this little cartoon. This year, however, at the Great Lakes Chicago, someone had ant-covered biscuit brooches. I didn't see it myself, but one of our wonderful comm members shared a photo with us that was posted in another comm that they are a part of. So thank you for sharing the photos with us, and now the whole world can see. These are hilarious. I kind of want one. If anybody is wondering about the story about why Lolitas have a beef with Simplicity, it all started at RuffleCon 2015. Simplicity was one of the sponsors of the event. A representative of Simplicity was seen purchasing multiple items from various brands. These two patterns in particular that were released afterwards are shrouded in a cloud of controversy. Pattern Pack 844. The example pieces were made with this macaron print fabric is the main controversy of this particular pattern. The creator of the fabric print spoke out about it. My intent was to give people the freedom to sell objects made with the fabric that they bought from my Spoonflower page, not to see it being used in an advertisement for a pattern. I feel like a painter who has had their artwork hung up in a very inappropriate place. The second but more minor issue with this is that the garments themselves have a weird cut. They don't really read Lolita. If they were to be used, they would need minor alterations to look better. In general, unless actual Lolitas are providing the pattern, most Lolita patterns are not very Lolita without alterations. Your best bet to sew your own Lolita is to use patterns made by Lolitas for Lolitas. The old GLBs are a great pattern source. I know that many people have scanned them and put them online for reference if you're not able to hunt down the GLB itself. Otome no Sewing is also a great resource, and they're easy to find and purchase online. Misako Aoki herself has even made her own pattern books. Those are a little more Dolly-K, Otome, but still generally much more suitable for Lolita than anything made by big corporations like Simplicity. Now we're going to talk about 8433 and the brands who allegedly had their items bought at RuffleCon by the Simplicity rep and had their items deconstructed to be used as patterns for profit. Miss Candy Holic had a bear bonnet that is almost too coincidentally similar to the one in Simplicity's pattern. I've seen bear bonnets done in many ways, and they just so happen to make it in the same fashion as how Miss Candy Holic does. Very sus. Moss Badger. Okay, so this one could be a stretch, as rosettes could be made by different people, but overall there isn't many ways to make ribbon rosettes. That said, Moss Badger did say that their items were purchased by the Simplicity rep, and just because of other people's stories, if true, it isn't really a stretch to say that their rosette wasn't deconstructed to be used as pattern fodder like the others were. Berg Vampire. So while the other two could very possibly be complete and total coincidence, no one is gonna convince me otherwise that Simplicity did not steal the design from their incredibly unique and iconic kitty bonnet. There's just absolutely no way possible that this isn't the same item, especially as there are witnesses to state that the rep had bought this exact item at the event. I'm gonna say if you don't support replicas, then you should not be supporting these particular patterns. Now I'm gonna talk about even more blatant replicas. We're gonna talk about that Amazon dress. Literally, when you type into the search bar, pink Lolita dress, it's literally the first thing that pops up. And I will tell you now that there's good and bad reviews. The ones that are good are likely from people who don't know better. And then the people that do post negatives are probably people that know what they're talking about when they're talking about poor quality. That Amazon dress is actually a ripoff of the brand and Romeo, which is as indie as you can get for Japanese brands. They are not big business. They're not a huge company. It's not even like they released this design years ago and never did it again. They quite literally have at least one variation of this dress available for purchase at all times. Even in the Amazon listing, it literally has the stolen photo with the brand logo still on the photo. So as you can see on the photo on the right, that the original clearly looks way better quality than this customer photo on the left. In addition, you can see the price and you can see that it really isn't that much more money. So for just a little bit more money, you can get a far superior product and you're not ripping off small independent designers. The big replica ban on EGL in July 2012, a brand representative reached out to the moderators of the EGL community on LiveJournal. They requested that EGL would no longer allow the discussion or purchase of illegal counterfeit materials. It was around this time when the overall feeling about replicas really started to shift because brands started to become open about how these illegal counterfeits were negatively affecting them. Unfortunately, in 2025, blatant copies still run rampant today, including a new brand claiming that their blatant ripoff isn't a ripoff and she made it different. What's different about this? I don't know, because I don't see it. By the way, Swimmer is still an active brand, and it is, again, like Anne Romeo, a teeny tiny brand even by Japanese brand standards. I do believe recently they have mentioned getting back into making these cutesy styled bags. I saw a post over on RedNote about it, so I don't know when it will happen and exactly what designs they will be coming out with. But if you love Swimmer and you want an opportunity to support them, please keep an eye out for them for when that eventually happens. Also, it's wild that this person was claiming that these bags go for like $300+ and it was very easy to find this specific bag for under $100. Manasema Banana, who of course hit the scenes in his first band, Malice Miser. Then eventually he started a new band, Moi-même-Moitié, who are still together and playing today. Famous for being beautiful, speaking with telepathy and using hand gestures. So if you haven't seen any of his older interviews, you definitely should. They're quite hilarious. He would answer questions with types of hand gestures, and then his translator would translate his hand signings. It's so funny. In this other interview, his translator said that he would speak to her telepathically and then she would speak the words for him and translate his telepathically sent messages. When I saw him in person in 2018 at SakuraCon in Seattle, he had a hand fan and he would whisper his answers to his handler behind the fan so you would never see his lips move, and then she would answer for him. So Moi-même-Moitié, originally established in 1999, was eventually acquired by Tanakuro, aka the parent company of Wonderwelt. This happened in 2017, and originally the acquisition started strong. However, they quickly started to sell weird trinkets and cheap jewelry. There were reports of accessories falling apart to reveal that some items were just hot glued together. They sent out overpriced stained dresses straight from the factory. Mana ended up calling his fans liars for speaking out about issues. They did not credit or pay Alice from Fairy Wish, a former designer of Moi-même-Moitié, for reproductions of her work she created when she worked for them. They also seem to prioritize quantity of items released rather than the quality of items released. Local horror stories. This is the last segment of this presentation where we're going to talk real quick about some horror stories within the Arizona Lolita community. We're going to start off with mine. I was one of the unlucky people to get a stained dress straight from the factory. And it was this one. I have a whole highlights on my page if you want to see everything up close. Wonderwelt sent me a replacement for the original dress that I got, but this replacement was covered in glitter, hair, and what looks like flakes of skin. Like it had clearly been worn before it was shipped me. When I informed Wonderwelt of the state that it had arrived to me in, they said that the dress has never been worn and that I should accept it as is or return it at my own expense, pay for international shipping back to them out of my own pocket, and then they'd refund me for just the cost of the dress. I was so upset that I ended up selling the dress, the Moi-même-Moitié pull-up doll that I had purchased, which was wearing the same dress. I even had the blouse in human size that the pull-up doll was wearing because I was so excited for this set. I wanted to do twinsy cords with this doll. The dress alone was about $350, and I sold everything for around $200 to one of my good friends because I just didn't want it in my house anymore and I couldn't even look at it. I was so pissed off about this experience. It was around this time that the posts about Alice had been going around and Mana was dogging on his fans and just everything that was kind of going around at the same time. I was so upset with it. I got that shit out of my house and I just completely stopped buying from them for several years. Their quality definitely has seemed to improve since then, and from what I'm aware of, they haven't sent out so much jacked up shit as they were. So I have bought a few items from them by now, but I'm just highly critical and picky about the things that I will and will not buy from them, which is a real shitty feeling to have because I've been such a fan of Mana since like my middle school days. So now I bring you the story of the spite dress. So during most of this time, I had actually left the Lolita community because of the abuse I received at the hands of this person. So I'm gonna read the story of the spite dress as told by one of the people that also dealt with this. They say, once upon a time, there was someone who joined the mod team. At first they seemed cool, but it turns out that they were capital T toxic. They used their power to cause all manner of strife in the comm. Racism, bullying, doxing, harassment. And so the rest of the mod team unanimously voted to ban them from the comm. That person moved away and left a lot of bad blood behind. One day, somebody from the comm saw their username on Lace Market and knew it was a dream dress for that person. And so the comm member made a point to snipe the bid for that dress because shitty people don't deserve dream dresses. That member already owned the dress in that exact colorway. So she sold it to one of the people that person wronged because victims deserve justice dream dresses and because spite makes the world go round. The next story is a very real case of Brando theft. No longer a boogeyman story told on CGL, but a real, actual, verified event that happened in the Lolita community. Once upon a time, a kind noob enters the community. One of the big sisters of the comm graciously lends a super old, rare dress for the noob to wear at an upcoming meetup. The noob never gives the dress back. Later, it is found out that this noob is actually a drama-mongering shitster. They end up being banned from the comm when they admit to the alleged bad behavior, complete with proof, yet they refuse to apologize or take accountability. Eventually, that noob moves to Europe, and they take the stolen dress with them. Finally, we're going to talk about the bug socks. Shout out to my friend for dealing with this because I would have lost my mind. In fact, I lose my mind on her behalf because she bought these meta socks new with tags, supposedly, on Lace Market. And when they arrived to her, they have bugs, live bugs, like some sort of larva in cocoon all over the socks. When she went to reach out to the seller, they say that she was lying and that perhaps she put the bugs on the socks herself. But as you can see from the photos, the cocoon bug fibers are literally fused with the material of the socks. There's no way that she could have faked plopping some bugs on there. Also, why would anybody do that? That's crazy. In the end, she did not get even a partial refund for the socks, which is crazy. The only solution that the seller would accept was for her to return the item to her to get a full refund. She was obviously really upset about this and ended up keeping them with no compensation. Fortunately, she has a wonderful husband and he washed the socks for her, got rid of the bugs, and afterwards it was as good as new. But the fact that she was put in a position where she had to deal with that at all is just crazy. Thank you for letting me get heated about these. I really hope that you enjoyed this panel. We still have so much stuff that we weren't able to fit into this presentation. So we do have a list of topics to cover at Saboten Con next year. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope you learned some new crazy stories or enjoyed reminiscing in the past of the crazy events that have passed. If you guys really enjoyed this video series, please let me know and perhaps I'll consider bringing it back next year after the con. I hope everybody has a safe and wonderful Halloween and I'll see you next time.